Can you hear me?
Yes.
We gotcha.
Hey,
First thing I want to say, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I'm sorry for the bland background because we don't do Zooms anymore. I used to have a tapestry, so I put this up there in the background. It's a Funko Pop Yachty, and also I like to bring props. I'm like a Carrot Top, and also here's a DVD collection of Three's Company. So that'll be my background.
That's incredible.
Thumbs up.
Hey, so we just saw you change your X handle the other day, the Regional Sports Networks guy. You've had a big change this offseason with even your own affiliation. How does it feel to be a part of the FanDuel Sports Network now?
I don't know what you're talking about. No, it's great. I'm glad we were able to emerge. And just remember, I'm just speaking as the bottom tier guy. I'm not speaking for the company. But things look good. And I think the main thing that they did, which is great for Cardinal fans, is they figured out a way where if your carrier doesn't have Cardinals baseball, you can stream it through the app, I'm told, at a reasonable price. So all these Cardinal fans that were left holding the bag, and look, the landscape has changed for all sports in the way it's covered by television. And while, I had to kind of bite my lip a little bit when people were killing Bally's, it was going on all over the place. But thankfully, we're emerging from that. And as I understand it, we're going to have Cardinals baseball on television, kind of the way they were, only with maybe some guys that were there the last couple of years not there. Look, I got to tell you, and I wonder how Bernie feels. Like, it's been rough the last couple of years. Yeah. And with this group, there's a chance they could be maybe a little better. But to me, it all boils down to what Walker is and what Gorman is. I honestly think if those two guys are real, think of the lineup, because there's a lot of guys we know. Yeah. Mason Wynn is going to be good. Donovan's going to be good. Newt's going to have to step up. And then, guys like Palante, maybe he can be better. The rotation was kind of middle of the road last year. Bullpen's still very good. Maybe there's a chance that we'll have some fun this year. That's what I'm hoping for.
There's great potential in that lineup. It's potential, so it needs to be converted into results, but it's there. And I go back and forth about my confidence level in Gorman and Walker and whether Newt Bar can stay healthy enough to play 140, 145 games, and whether Siani can, in fact, start to continue hitting the way he was before, whether Victor Scott can accelerate. I mean, what's Sajaci going to look like? What is Mason Wynn's ceiling? Can Burleson finish strong? He was having a good year and it kind of tapered off. There's things you can see that tell you it can happen. It doesn't mean, of course, it will happen. And I wonder what kind of difference the hitting coach will make. And I know that we all put too much on the hitting coach, but from what I've read, Jim Hayes, about Brant Brown's philosophy and what he believes and the way he's connecting with Cardinals hitters, it sounds like his message is really good and something that I think maybe fits exactly what they need in a hitting coach. I hope I'm correct about that.
It seems like it could be fun, but here's the other side. Now, I gave you rights holder stuff. I think Palante is going to win 15. I think Palante is going to win 15 games. I think Mason Wynn might hit 23, 24 homers. I think he's just scratching. He's just scratching the surface. And I'm not talking about a guy who will overswing like we've seen in the past. What I'm talking about is a guy who's got natural pull side power that he's just tapping, and he's getting bigger and stronger. The downside is if you take, which, we're not sure, but if Arenado's not there, certainly Goldie's not there at first, there might be a lot of balls kicking by guys. I think the defensive side of that is a concern.
I wonder if something that's not thought about enough yet, and I know it's too early to put expectations on a Quinn Matthews, right? Like, we don't want to think too hard about that or Tink Hence. But when was the last time that the Cardinals had an arm that was that exciting? 2019, Jack Flaherty, or I guess a little bit before that when he debuted. But how impact a young arm like that with the kind of upside that they have joining a rotation, not only the young bats like a Nolan Gorman or Jordan Walker, but if a Quinn Matthews does come up and is ready to be not just a member of the rotation, but an impact arm, if Tink Hence can make that kind of impact at some point, if Michael McGreevy can be more of a middle of the rotation guy, if there's some improvements on the pitching side of things that could happen, Jim, does that resonate with you at all?
So those, I mean, I think back. You guys mentioned Flaherty. Reyes was another guy who had all the
Yeah.
potential in the world, ran into injuries. But this season, because you're kind of kicking the tires a bit on guys, I don't want to push anyone.
Yeah.
Because it's been so long since we've seen a pitcher like that with potential come to fruition. I don't want to see him push too much, but they certainly have guys in the rotation that I think can be a tick better. The younger, what we saw from McGreevy, and granted, tiny sample size, but I mean, he looked good. I mean, he checked a lot of
Yeah.
boxes. There are guys you can look at and say maybe this is the guy. Hence has had some injuries. As I understand it, he's gotten bigger and stronger, which you want to see for a guy who's run into some injuries. But there are some interesting guys that could make it an interesting year. And it just has a dip. Like at first, this is the weirdest offseason. Bernie, you can probably agree.
It sure
like,
is.
We're waiting every year. We're waiting for, are they going to go? Are they moving on this guy? Are they moving? And now we're waiting for guys to leave. Usually we're waiting for guys to walk in the door.
Yeah.
And it is strange. And the Arenado thing is because the Cardinals right now, are not adding talent, to your point, Jim. It's more about, well, Goldie's gone. Okay. Are they going to find a deal that'll make everyone happy, including Arenado, for Arenado? And then they'll be moving some players in to third base, second base, whatever. And then you can see people already in the system will have a more profound role. But it is strange that the discussion has changed entirely from what we're used to, adding. And now it's sort of like subtracting and then now what type thing, And they're going to be a bit of a mystery, even though we know all the players are going to be using last year. But there's a lot.
And there's still a question of who fits where. Okay,
right.
So like Wilson Contreras is going to be at first. Okay, I get that, but you kind of thought maybe, someone like Burleson could get some time at first base. Maybe Walker. Okay, Gorman's at third, but then where does that put some other guys? One of the problems last year is they did have a little too much redundancy with guys, and I think they've fixed some of that. I wonder if there's more guys that are going to move to maybe alleviate more of that.
And and I do believe there's stuff to look forward to. And listen, I've been as critical as anybody could be about a lot of things going on with the Cardinals, so I don't hesitate to speak my mind. But I also try to be fair. But I'm legitimately excited about J.J. Weatherholt. I think he can be the Cardinals' Bryce Harper. People say, what are you talking about? It isn't so much that I expect him to hit 40 home runs. He's got that personality. You talk about star appeal, natural charisma, pardon the cliche. He's got that swagger about him, and it's like the kid goes up there and you just, you know what he's thinking. Like, I'm the best there is. Ain't nobody going to get me out. He's got that whole demeanor. They need that. They don't have a lot of team confidence. So I look forward to the day the young lad gets up here. I think he can do a lot in terms of maybe transforming their personality. They need a lead dog like that, and it's got to be one of the young guys. Am I nuts, Jim, for thinking that?
No, I agree with you. And I think that was maybe part of the chemistry issues last season. I certainly think Mason Wynn has some of that.
Yes.
And certainly he's a guy, what we've seen so far, you want to build around. But here's something about Ollie Marmol. And Bernie, I think we're on the same page on this. I'm just telling you, the players like playing for Ollie Marmol. I'm glad he's getting another shot. Now, this could be make or break. He understands that. I'm quite certain, too. You got a new president of baseball ops waiting in the wings, and they're going to let Ollie take the young guys and see what he could do with them. And Ollie's looking forward to that challenge. And Ollie's one of those guys where he's like, yeah, it's on me. Now it's on me, and we'll see what happens. And I'm just glad that we're going to get to see that, because I think that's a misnomer with fans. The players like playing for Ollie.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And I had a chance to visit with him recently, and he's really fired up about all the changes that are being made. Like, he's already connected in a really good way with all the new people that Chaim Bloom's bringing in. And he's excited because he's basically saying in so many words, now there's full alignment in this organization. I mean, the minor league staff, they're totally in tune. They're in lockstep with the major league staff. Everyone's working on the same things. It's inclusive. They want everyone to be involved. It's not kind of like, oh, well, that's their department. You know, I have something I'd like to say, but that's their department. I better stay out of that. The new guys, Serfolio and all of them, they have made it very clear. It's very much an open door policy where they want all input because they want everyone aligned, majors, minors, where everyone's working together rather than maybe sticking in their silos, you know? And I think that's overdue. No disrespect to all the people that have worked here in the past. I think that's long overdue, and that can only help.
I agree. Like I said, I think there's a lot of things to be excited about. Understanding that if some of like A and B has to work, or C will be a disaster.
Right.
But one of the things I think they have a nice buffer. They have a really good bullpen, and I tweeted this because I'm selfish and I'm going to be at games and I want to enjoy them. But I love watching Helsley close out games. So I understand long term. If you don't trade Helsley, you're crazy. If he's back, I'm thankful because I might see an immaculate inning. No one else is going to show me that.
Well, plus, Jim, you're in the entertainment industry, right? Huh?
Right.
You know, for the Cardinals are going to play the big room, and you're going to be like the MC of it all. I mean, you need stars, baby. You got to help Jim Hayes out, right?
That's right.
Jim is the CEO of entertainment here on the broadcast. I think something that we're talking about Jeff Jones earlier, and even right before you came on, is what is it going to take for fan interest to get back to where it was before? What do you think in 2025 the Cardinals can prove to their fans that make them want to come back to the ballpark? Tune in on the live streams, tune in the new app function. What is it going to take to build up fan interest again?
So I think winning is certainly a part of the equation, but I think it has to be a more entertaining style of baseball. If these young guys, now look, there's going to be with young guys some wins, some losses, some success, some failure. But if it's exciting, I think over the last couple of years, we had a lot of waiting around for like the big homer that wasn't there. And I think the style of baseball, like one of the things that I'd love to see him tap into is steal more bases. Let's go. They got some team speed. Let's use it. But just a more exciting brand of baseball. And if they can do that, I don't think the damage is so big where it's going to take a long time to get the fans back. You know, you had the mad fans because they couldn't see the games on TV. Understandable. You had mad fans because the baseball wasn't up to par. Totally understand. And I'm one that says fans are our customers. The customer's always right. So, you know, let them vent, but I don't think the damage is so bad that it's going to take a long time for them to snap back, because Cardinal baseball is so important to St. Louis.
Absolutely.
It's more than just a team. It's part of the fabric. And I'm an outsider. I mean, I came here 47 years ago, whatever it was. But my son was born here, so I consider myself a St. Louis. But the first day, and I've told this story, that I was hired out of Philly. Then I'm in Kansas City for a couple months. I come here and I'm walking my dog, and it's during baseball season, my first day, and I'm walking around my neighborhood in the Central West End, and I could hear every house has the Cardinal game on. Like, it could be radio, TV, but I had never seen that before, and it just told me, like, day one, like, this is important, and I never forgot that.
Yeah. Being a St. Louisan who doesn't live in St. Louis all the time anymore, and now that I go to school down in Texas, Waco, whenever I see another person from St. Louis, like, you know, we're wearing Cardinals gear or Blues gear, and, you know, there's kind of a nod, but it's like a shared thing about being here. You're right. Cardinal baseball is integral to the fabric of this city. So the fans will be back. They just have to win some baseball games.
Yeah. Jim,
I also hope the front office has to understand too that, like, fans want to see better baseball, and they just want to see, like, they want to believe that you're trying to push them in the right direction. That's all they want to see for the short term. Eventually, they want another championship.
Yeah.
No, and I can vouch for something. You know, I started, and I'm not doing this as a shameless self-promotion. You know, I started this YouTube channel about 3 months ago or so, and I didn't know how it would go. And one thing I promised that I would provide plenty a lot of Cardinals related content and pretty much everything I do, with some rare exceptions. And I have people telling me, look, man, the Cardinals are losing. The Cardinals aren't any good. I don't know why you're doing all this Cardinal stuff. They're boring people. Everyone's just kind of turned off. Like, why are you doing Cardinal? Because people are confusing something. They're confusing the fact that the team has taken a wrong turn, and there's a lot of fans that are upset about that, as they should be. But they mistake that for a lack of interest. I have found, and my friends here from Dealin the Cards would totally agree with this. The interest level, the investment in the Cardinals, not so much with ticket money or maybe watching every game or listening to every game, but the interest level remains incredibly high. And that's why all of us are doing different forms of media on different platforms now, because I find the interest level to be soaring. And in the off season, it soars really high because people crave information. People make a mistake of, they gauge the anger out there and think it means that people don't like the team or they don't care about the team. It's the exact opposite, actually.
I agree with you. And so I'm on Twitter, and I joke about my dog Stella and the UFOs. But when I do some about Cardinal baseball, much more interest in it. And I'll be starting up. I did a YouTube last year for the off season because we're switching from Bally's to FanDuel. I had to put it on hold because there are some things we got to work out, as we move forward. I'll do that again. And even when the team wasn't good, even if someone wants to make a comment that the team's awful or this guy's terrible or this should go, the interest is there. So I agree with you 100%, Bernie.
Well, Jim, thanks for your time this evening. Any just off the cuff, I know there's a lot to figure out this offseason still, but what's your vibe? What's your prediction for the 2025 Cardinals? Do you think they're going to surprise people? Do you think the youth movement is actually going to lead to some results on the field, or maybe a little bit of a rocky season ahead of us?
See, this is the kind of thing I'll say here, and then it'll appear on Twitter saying, this didn't age well. But I'm going to say, I think they're going to be competitive and decent, and I think there's going to be a lot of fun watching them. Like I said, the downside could be the pitching isn't enough, starting pitching, which I think it might be, and defense, things like that could hurt them. You're going to have guys moving around different positions. That's the downside of watching balls bounce past position players.
Yeah. Well, Jim, thanks for your time tonight. We always love to be able to talk to the cat. And obviously, check them out on FanDuel Sports next year, live in the app, cable, whatever it is. Jim will make sure the broadcasts are lively and fun to watch, even if the Cardinals maybe frustrate you at times. But, Jim, we appreciate your time tonight.
Thanks for having me on, Bernie. Great seeing you. And Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Take care, Jimmy.
Thanks for joining us.
Yep.
All right.
That was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun.
It's always fun to have the cat with us. So we're going to move into another giveaway real quick. It looks like we have over $600 donated so far, so really appreciate the generosity.
600, huh?
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good.
This is great. And we've got Brooke Grimsley with us. So, Brooke, if you want to be a part of this giveaway.
Right.
Brooke, how are you doing?
Good. How about you guys? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We've got you.
Yes. Thank you guys so much for having me on. I was hoping maybe I could be a part of one of these giveaways, but I don't think I can be because these are awesome giveaways that you guys have.
It's pretty crazy stuff.
They are pretty slick. So we're going to give away our next one right now, which is a
Johnny Peralta
game used bat from Johnny Peralta that he's also signed as well. So this is pretty cool. So Andrew just did the giveaway here, and it looks like Benjamin Boyd has won the Johnny Peralta game used broken bat, also autographed. So this is pretty sick. We'll have to figure out how to ship this to you where the bat doesn't break completely in half the whole way. I don't know if you can see up here, but it's a little bit broken. But this is super awesome. So, again, thanks for the generosity of donating tonight toward Big League Impact. If you go to the comment section on the stream, there's a pinned comment where you can donate throughout the night. We've still got a signed Carlos Beltran bat.
I've been told that the person who won the bat is here in the shop with us, so we don't have to ship it.
That's big.
Oh, well, that's great. But yeah, so keep pulling it throughout the night. We'll keep going with that. But Brooke, we're super excited to have you on. Just tell us what life's been like for you lately.
Well, first of all, thank you guys so much for having me on. I'm sure everybody is well aware, currently unemployed at the moment. It's just so great to see you guys, Josh, Sandy, and Bernie. Huge fan of your work. I know that we haven't had the chance to meet in person, but when I moved here to St. Louis, you were the first voice that I listened to on top of Randy Carricker. I've always enjoyed listening to you. I'm enjoying your YouTube channel as well and all your work with Scoops with Danny Mac. And so I absolutely love your work. So it's just awesome to be on a panel talking to you guys. And also love everything that you guys are doing with Dealin with the Cards. It's been so much fun just watching you guys grow this channel over the years. They
do a great job. I'm big fans of them, and I'm glad we're all friends. Brooke is a veteran of the news, radio. Every now and then it's kind of like, well, this is your turn now to get to the back of the line. I remember Mike Claiborne, our dear friend, told me one time, the first radio gig I got laid off from, he said, man, don't worry about it. You just got to go to the back of the line for a while. And the way this business is, you just move up and you move up and then you'll be in the front of the line before you know it. So that's life advice from Mike Claiborne. And he, believe me, the Godfather knows. So take this free time as I did when I lost my job at the same station where you lost your job. Take this time to just like enjoy not having the pressure of having to do it every day and kind of breathe in everything. I know you are. You look very happy, and I'm sure you are.
Yeah, no, I have been enjoying just some time off. Of course, I can't stay away from sports, but I've had more time to, of course, pay attention to some other different types of sports. My Titans team is doing horribly right now, so I'd rather not watch the Tennessee Titans. I still do anyways, because for whatever reason, I enjoy the pain of watching it as a lifelong fan. But yeah, it's been good. I know that, you get it. And I've, talked to a lot of people about, this is just the way that the broadcast industry is. And it's something that is just ever changing. And especially how people consume sports is just changing rapidly. I came here to St. Louis starting in TV as a sports anchor and sports reporter. And the way that things have just shifted so dramatically since COVID, it's interesting because we also see how this is affecting the Cardinals, right? We heard them talk about how they're trying to deal with everything with TV and how that's changing, how you have this transition over to streaming, but people are not fully on board, especially with baseball's major audience is still in that kind of higher age range. And so they're still working on engaging that younger audience. And so it's just interesting to see how much the industry is changing rapidly. And like you said, I'm enjoying it. Now, I would say that you would think that I would just take a little bit of a break, but we decided to move in the middle of all this. So it's still been stressful, to say the least.
Well, it's great to have you on. It really is. What's your gut feeling of your opinions about what the Cardinals are doing, how they're going about it, whether the fans will accept it or warm up to it? And I think it'll help everyone if Nolan Arenado gets traded, just because that needs to be a clean break. It would make everyone happy. At least the Cardinals need it, and he needs it. And so, but what will it take for fans to warm up to what the Cardinals are trying to do in 2025, in your opinion?
Well, I've been listening to part of this broadcast that you guys have on. You've had, Jim on and also Jeff Jones. And it sounds like a lot of people, and you guys too, are on the same kind of page about at least what I'm hearing interacting with lifelong Cardinals fans. And that is that people are on board as long as there's a clear message. So we hear the team say, that they're going to be competitive still in 2025. We're going with this youth movement, but then still we're kind of stuck in this in between of what exactly this roster will look like for next season. I think that one thing specifically that this organization has kind of struggled with, especially in recent years, and you guys can weigh in on this completely, and I might be, wrong on this, but just from my own media perspective and even just looking through from a fan's lens in certain areas, is that I think that sometimes that transparency hasn't fully been there. And I feel like fans are just ready for that to happen. So we're going through this new transition. People understand there's a youth movement. I know that you guys talked about payroll earlier, and I agree with you 100%. This isn't just about payroll. It's about spending the money properly and seeing them get the most, the ROI, the return on investment, and you have Chaim Bloom coming in. So now what does this new era look like with Chaim Bloom soon to take over? You have Mozeliak, who's still going to be a part of the organization, but in a different role. And with this new transition, will they be more transparent with the fans? That's what I hear over and over again, is that fans just want more transparency about what this plan is. And also, you can't pull the wool over fans' eyes here. fans here in St. Louis are the smartest sports fans that I've ever interacted with. This is why I wanted to come to this market. And I'm not just saying that because I'm trying to get another job, okay? Like, I'm trying to, get it, trying to just say that. But literally, when St. Louis was one of the cities that I was looking at, and there was a job opportunity, there was other cities, and I already knew that St. Louis had a passionate sports fan base. You can't just say, oh, everything's fine, don't look over here. I think as long as you're just very transparent with this fan base, fans will be on board with anything.
Yeah. And
you do have some young, exciting talent. I'm excited for Mason Wynn. I hope that Jordan Walker will be able to be better in 2025 and they keep him up in 2025. And of course, that's based on performance too. But I think that fans would be on board with just transparency and honesty.
Yeah, Brooke, I think most people can agree at this point. Fans seem to be pretty disillusioned and pretty done with the John Mozeliak era at this point. No matter how people feel about how it should and how we should feel about his tenure with the Cardinals at this point, most people are just kind of done with it. Going back retroactively to that end of the season press conference, Chaim Bloom is announced as the president of baseball in waiting, and John Mozeliak gets another year. And now you see how the offseason played out, where it's mostly just trying to get rid of Arenado, cutting payroll. Do you think it's been in the benefit of Bloom in the organization long term that he's gotten to be in the little bit behind the scenes and in the background as of late? Or do you think fans and maybe the overall excitement level and engagement would have been maybe brought up a little bit by the idea of just transitioning leadership now and allowing Chaim Bloom to make these decisions? Or do you think maybe even shielding him from these decisions has been maybe the best call? What's just been your thought process on this really interesting transition plan? Because for the most part, you don't really see a president in baseball in waiting happen, right? Usually someone gets fired and then they have to jump right in, take the reins. But Bloom's been here a year. He's going to be here another year before he takes over. Do you like what the Cardinals have done this plan so far? Do you think from a PR perspective, through what you're trying to get the fans to be engaged with, that it was kind of a mistake at this point?
So I think it's really interesting, and it's a great question that you asked, Josh, because when they first announced it, and I was at that press conference with Chaim Bloom as well, I found it really interesting because I was like, wait a minute, it's not like Chaim Bloom doesn't have any experience with being in this role. Why are you not just going ahead and transitioning him? It's not like you have to baby step, ease him into this. He's shown that he's capable of doing this before. So it seems like they really want him just to focus on the player development side. And I get what you're asking too, because we talked about it all the time on the opening drive about having Mo fatigue, that a lot of fans just have Mo fatigue. It happens all the time with every sports organization. We see it all the time where you just have that one messenger for so long and people just get tired of hearing things from that person and they just do not believe them or want to hear from them anymore. I do still just personally find it a little confusing that we just don't go ahead and transfer over to this Chaim Bloom era. And I'm interested to see how that even looks at the trade deadline, because if Mozeliak's still at the helm around that time next year, then is it going to be Chaim Bloom making decisions at the trade deadline that will affect, his tenure and what his journey will look like with the Cardinals? Or will it be Mozeliak who's still front facing with those decisions? I think that that's kind of a peculiar situation that the Cardinals have put themselves in, because a lot of the decisions now, like what we're talking about with this very stagnant offseason for the Cardinals and just waiting around and then even approaching the trade deadline, those are all things that are going to affect Chaim Bloom and his era.
Yeah, I think one thing about that is I can only speak for myself. Like, I'm one of the loudmouths that keep saying, look, Ryan Helsley's going to leave as a free agent, and Eric Fetty's going to leave as a free agent. You have a year. This is a transition year. Listen, get something for them now. Like, cash in on them when their value is really, really high. And then then it seems like the Cardinals are inclined to keep them. They may be posturing to try to get more offered. I don't know. But what I always wonder about, it's like, well, and people ask me and I don't have an answer. They say, listen, we know that John Mozeliak technically will be making the decision whether to trade one or both of those guys, but is this something that he really wants to know what Chaim Bloom thinks? And does Chaim Bloom have a real strong opinion about it? Is this going to be a mutual decision where they're both, yes, this is what we should do or not do? I don't know how that's working out. I would assume they're working together on things that will affect Chaim Bloom's first year on the job, but who knows? It's kind of a mystery, and we may not know the whole story. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that that's a very fair question. And I'm still confused because when I was at that press conference, there was still no clear answers of how exactly that would work. I mean, of course, Mosaic said that they'd work in tandem, but still that's kind of confusing to understand unless we're behind the scenes, which is a part of that transparency that I was talking about of what exactly is going on with this transition. I think another question that I have for you guys, and I just find this so interesting, and this is another big takeaway I had from that press conference with the DeWitts, with Mosaic, with Chaim Bloom, and this is one that I was able to ask towards the end that I still just didn't feel completely clear about, is how did we even get to this point? Player development has been such a big part of the Cardinals organization and history. How did we get to this point within the organization that you have to re-emphasize player development within your own system? I mean, when I think of the Cardinals, I think of all the great talent that they've been able to produce on their own. And I understand that trends come and go within Major League Baseball, but you know, I mean, of course, what organization would not, you know, want to deal with having to spend a bunch of money to bring in a free agent when you can have all that talent within your house? So you're not always going to hit a home run with every single player that you have coming through your organization. But I think it was pretty clear in that press conference that they realized that they had dropped the ball on player development and now they have to get back to it. It's just my question is, why did they even get to that point? That just kind of seems to be something synonymous with the Cardinals organization. It
was too bad.
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. I saw something on Twitter the other day, and it was screenshots of the Cardinals' top prospects in like 2016, 2017, and 2018. And it's a bunch of guys that we were all high on at the time, and just like literally zero of them panned out. When you're talking about Alex Reyes, Delvin Perez, like these names, they were guys that they're toolsy, they're exciting, they're power arms, and just none of them worked out. And so I guess to respond to your question with a question is, do you think that it's possible that the Cardinals are just some bad luck and a couple of injuries away from never having reached this point at all? Let's say Alex Reyes isn't the most injury prone person of all time. He could easily have turned into an ace. You know, some of these other guys that had career ending injuries or just rotten luck. Is there a chance that the Mo fatigue never sets in if these guys develop and work out?
That's a tough one because, of course, you wish you could go back in time and tell Alex Reyes not to, especially if you guys remember one of those injuries.
The TV.
Yeah. And so you wish you could go back in time where that didn't happen, but it's hard to know. I mean, and that's the thing that is hard for any organization is you're not going to be able to get it right with every single player. I mean, even look at how everything has played out with Jordan Walker. I think that obviously if you could kind of read the tea leaves, I wouldn't even say tea leaves. They're pretty clear about it, about their vision for Jordan Walker and the plan with the organization, and it just didn't pan out that way. And I hope that there is definitely still enough time where they can get the most out of Jordan Walker and he can be this, but I don't think that he is turning out to be the player that they want to be. Now, I don't think they put him in the right position to succeed in a lot of those situations, but it's hard to tell. And I don't know. I mean, I think that especially on the pitching side too, you think about all the arms that they were able to really grow in the past. And I think they obviously want to get back with that with Chaim Bloom. And I don't know, Bertie, maybe are you familiar with if they're working on a pitching lab? I heard there was talks about it. So I didn't know if that was something that was actually coming into fruition soon.
They absolutely say they are. But again, I don't know the timetable. We're going to have Derek Gould sit down with us in a little while. So he'll probably know more of that than any of us. But I know they're full bore on all that stuff. And I know that Ali Marmol is excited about it because it's something that he was hoping the organization would do. No, I think Bill DeWitt Jr. is all in on this. And I know John Mosaic sort of threw out a general figure about what all this would cost. I think actually the price tag is larger than they let on because I think Bill DeWitt's pretty fired up to make sure this never happens again. Because you were right, what you said earlier. This was his baby. This is what Bill DeWitt was great at. And it was part of the Cardinals' history. They've always, when they've been good, it's always because of a great farm system. They let it slide. I really don't know why. It's a mystery to me. Yeah. When I get a chance to sit down with Bill at some point, I'm going to ask him to take me through it, how this happened. But he has seen the light. And so that means a full commitment to everything they need to get their minor league in their operation, up to speed, up to contemporary standards. And it's overdue, but at least it's now happening.
Brooke, we really appreciate your time tonight jumping
Thanks,
on.
Brooke.
I want to ask you one question on the way out. You kind of alluded to it, and Sandy talked about it a little bit with his questions, but clearly they can go back and fix the Alex Reyes situation. They can't change what happened with Jack Flaherty. Delvin Perez, these guys.
Untrade for Ozuna.
And, yeah, they can't untrade for Ozuna. They can set the groundwork and set JJ Weatherholt up for success, Quinn Matthews for success, whoever they draft number 5 next year for success. But those tweener guys, Nolan Gorman, Jordan Walker, the ones who are developed in the old regime but will be a part of the new regime probably going forward. What is your optimism that a Gorman, a Walker, Newbar seems to be more injury related than performance related, but that these guys that are kind of stuck between the phases can actually get their career back on track? Or are you kind of pessimistic at this point that Jordan Walker can hit on his potential and Nolan Gorman can be a consistent middle of the order bat?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And of course, that's up to the players and the organization. And that's why I am excited that they are refocusing on player development, because that's something that still directly affects those guys and those players that you're talking about that are on the rise. But when it comes to Nolan Gorman and Jordan Walker, I think that's where the transparency, I know I keep saying it, but that's where the transparency comes back around. Give them defined roles, defined goals, and I think that that's something that will really help them succeed. I mean, for Jordan Walker, if you think about it, they didn't have him working in the outfield until they moved Harrison Bader. And so he's kind of been in a really tough position from the start with this organization. And I feel like they still can get the most out of him. It's just building back probably up that trust in a lot of different ways of, okay, this is your defined role. This is the goal that we have for you. And we're going to do everything it takes to help you achieve it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Brooke, we appreciate your time tonight. I know
thanks, Brooke.
Speak on behalf of Burning Myself, Sandy, everyone watching right now. We
Merry
can't
Christmas
wait to see you back on the radio or whatever your next opportunity looks like. We're all Brooke Grimsley fans, and
absolutely.
So thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
See you, Brooke.
Merry Christmas, Brooke.
Bye. Merry Christmas.